Did he say something like that? We've got a great defense.
Welcome to Texas Stadium in Irving for this afternoon's NFL game matching the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Lieber, along with Alex Hawkins. Cowboys heavy favorites, but you never know.
Oh, it's about time for Tampa to jump up with somebody, and I'll tell you what, the good defensive team, they are as good as anybody. They can play.
We're ready to play some football right now. Tampa has won the toss of the coin, and, of course, the Buccaneers have elected to receive. So that means the Cowboys will be kicking off, and their man is Efren Herrera, one of the premier placement kickers in the game. Cowboys in white, Tampa Bay in the orange jerseys. Temperatures have cooled down considerably from the 100 degrees or so that they had last week against the New York Giants. And just in time, a cold front came in overnight, and the game time temperature is right around 80 degrees, which is going to make it a lot more comfortable. Herrera ready to go. Anthony Davis is deep, along with Isaac Higgins. As we await the opening whistle, the referee is Bernie Ullman, the umpire Tony Kramer, the headlinesman Tony Batteri, the line judge Jack Steffen, the back judge Ben Tompkins, and the field judge is Pat Mellett. There's the whistle, and here comes Herrera, and we're underway at Texas Stadium in Irving. Isaac Higgins at the 12-yard line, crosses the 20, 25, and he is zapped at the 27-yard line. Mike Hageman, number 58, off the Cowboys specialty team, making the tackle with an assist from Guy Brown. So it is 1st and 10 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their 27-yard line. Here's the Tampa Bay offensive line, and they've had some problems this year. Mixture of some veterans and some youngsters. The wide receivers and the tight end will be Bob Moore. Jack Novak, the regular tight end, is out of this game with an injury, and there's the way they'll line up. First time ever, Anthony Davis and Ricky Bell in the same backfield starting a ball game. Morris Owens is the man in motion, and Huff starts to throw it right off the bat and finds Owens for 5 yards out to the 32-yard line. Run out of bounds by Benny Barnes of the Cowboys. It'll be 2nd down 5. Cowboy defense, and this front four has been something else. They've already recorded 9 quarterback sacks on the year so far, so they can be fierce. The Cowboy linebackers, and that's quite a change from last year. D.D. Lewis is the only returnee. Leroy Jordan, of course, is retired. And the Cowboy deep backs, his 2 safeties, as good as any in the game. Charlie Waters and Cliff Harris. 2nd down 5 for the Buccaneers at their 32-yard line. Gary Huff, the ex-Chicago Bear, coming back after a knee injury. Handing off and dropped behind the line of scrimmage is Anthony Davis. It was Jethro Pugh who broke through to make the tackle for a loss of close to 5 yards in the play, so it'll be 3rd down. Now let's see where they mark it. They're going to spot it at the 30-yard line. It'll be 3rd down 7 for the Buccaneers at their 30-yard line.
You know, Frank, it's almost a shame Tampa has come up with an 0-2 record, because they could have easily won both of their opening games. So last week in Minnesota, they played them right down to the wire. Excellent defense, but they haven't had any trouble at all. It'd be interesting to see if Gary Huff can do something with that offense.
Passing situation for Huff on 3rd down 7. Gary is 1 for 1 in the afternoon so far. Split backfield. And Huff under pressure gets the pass away, tipped up and away by Charlie Waters. The intended receiver was Ricky Bell. And so the Buccaneers will be forced to punt. Crowd close to 60,000 in attendance as Huff leaves the field. Gary injured his knee in a preseason game against Atlanta, and in that game he threw 3 touchdown passes. And of course the Bucs have been having to go with the rookie Randy Hedberg until he got well. Dave Green is the punter, and the deep man is Butch Johnson, who ranks in the top 10 in the NFC, both in punt returns as well as kickoff returns. Cowboys with 10 men on the line of scrimmage, but they're playing return all the way. Johnson pulls this one down at his 28, 30, 35. Johnson 40, 45, and dropped at the 48-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys as they come up with excellent field position. That set the Dallas offense for you. Pat Donovan filling in for the injured Rayfield Wright. At right tackle, he's expected to be back in a couple of weeks. Cowboy receivers, the All-Pro Drew Pearson heading that cast. And the Cowboy backfield, Tony Dorsett does not start. Pearson is the starting tailback with Robert Newhouse, but Dorsett sees a lot of action. In fact, he's averaged some 6.5 yards per carry. Here's Staubach pitching to Pearson. to the 50-yard line for a pickup of 3. It'll be 2nd down, 7. Richard Wood, number 54, leading the defensive charge that time for the orange-clad Buccaneers. Let's take a look at the Bucs defense. They play that 3-man front, Alex.
And they play it well, too. Talking to the Dallas people right before the ball game, Frank, they weren't kidding when they said it's as good a defense as you're going to face in football.
The 4 linebackers, Paul Harris is replacing Dave Lewis, who is out with an injury, and the D-backs. 2nd down, 7. Cowboys with the ball at midfield. Straight handoff to Newhouse, close to the 45-yard line. He'll be some 3 yards shy of a first down. So call it 3rd and 3 for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 46. First meeting ever between these two clubs. And this is part of Tampa Bay's Murderers Row schedule. They got Minnesota last week. They get Washington next Sunday at home. Pretty tough for an expansion club looking for its first victory. 3rd down, 3 for Dallas. No score. 12 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in the opening period. Golden Richards left side. Drew Pearson wide to the right. Running from the split backfield. Nice fake to Pearson. Here's Staubach. He will be close for the first down. Maybe close enough. We'll need a measurement at the 43-yard line, as he was hit hard by Cecil Johnson, number 56, and Leroy Selman, number 63. Johnson played his college football at Pitt. He was a free agent and teammate, of course, of Tony Dorsett's, and has been very impressive. We saw him a couple of weeks ago in Philadelphia. I'll bring the chains in from the far side here to measure. That was a 3rd down play with the Cowboys at the 43 of Tampa Bay. Let's see what happens. That's close, but it looks like the Buccaneers have held him, and let's see if they'll go for it. He's got less than a foot. Fans, of course, want him to go for it, but the punting unit is coming on.
You didn't think Landry was going to gamble?
Well, you never know. The fans always want to go for it. You know that, Hawk.
Isn't that the truth? But they're the first ones that boo when you don't make it.
Absolutely. There's the statistics on Danny White so far. He's an excellent punter, particularly coffin corner kicker. Danny Reese will be deep, along with Isaac Higgins for the Buccaneers. Reese on the left of your screen and Higgins on the right.
Danny averages, what, about 40 yards up front? I'll tell you, he's going to be something. I've seen him play in the World Football League as a quarterback.
The late World Football League?
The late World Football League. He's an athlete, a heck of a quarterback as well.
Buccaneers playing return all the way. He's angling for the coffin corner on the far side. Higgins had a little trouble handling it and brought it down inside the 10-yard line. And Benny Barnes, number 31, was there to grade him. So the Buccaneers come up with poor field position. 1st and 10 at their own 9-yard line. There is no score. We'll be back in a moment.
We have assembled here a most congenial group brought together by the love for a truly great beer. Right, group?
Right.
It's light beer from Miller. Right, group?
Right.
They think the best thing about it is it's less filling. It has a 1/3 less calories than their regular beer. Right, group?
Right. Wrong. The best thing about it, it tastes great.
No, Horny, it's less filling.
That's
me. Take it from me. It tastes great.
Who are you? You won't think this fight is no joke when you come through and your nose is broke.
No wonder you don't get no respect. I tell you, I don't deserve no respect.
You still don't know nothing about beer.
I thought I threw you out of this bar last year. I feel very strongly both ways. I never argue.
Hi, Mickey.
Hi, doll.
What's a nice guy like you doing in a fight like this?
Waiting for you, doll.
Hey, look at that. Waiting for us.
I still don't know why they wanted me to do this commercial.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less.
Frank Lieber along with Alex Hawkins. Texas Stadium, the site of this afternoon's game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Bucs have the football, and they have a first down at their 9-yard line. No score here in the early going. Fine putt by Danny White. That's Ricky Bell. Across the 10-yard line out to about the 12. Randy White, number 54, stacked him up, along with Jethro Pugh, number 75. Bell is ranked in the top 10 in rushers in the NFC after a couple of weeks. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience, and any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Dallas Cowboys and the National Football League is prohibited. 2nd down, 8. Bucks out close to the 12-yard line. Quick pitch to Davis. Flag down. Davis at the 15-yard line and run down by middle linebacker Bob Brunig, number 53, at the 16. Let's see what the penalty is. Preliminary indication we get is illegal motion against the Buccaneers. That Dallas defense has had quite a few changes in it, yet, Hawk, they don't seem to lose any efficiency at all.
No, sir. It's just a great organization. They've done well in the drafting throughout the years. They've just done so well in the drafting that when somebody steps out, they've always got somebody to move right in there, and they don't lose any effectiveness whatsoever.
Bernie Allman walking off 5. And let's see who the culprit was.
Illegal motion. The man in motion, number 32.
Well, he was very specific about it, wasn't he? Ricky Bell. He said 32, but that's Lewis Carter, and I don't believe Carter's in there. So the Buccaneers are now backed up to their 8-yard line. They have a 2nd down 12. From that point, straight handoff. And Bell out to about the 9, perhaps. A yard, maybe 2. Again, Brunig in the middle of that, along with Randy White and Jethro Pugh. Ricky Bell, all everything at SC. Had a bit of an ankle problem last year. In fact, he's got a bone chip, I understand, in his ankle, but he's still playing.
I love his attitude. Everything he's done indicates that he has a proper attitude to be a great professional football player. Moving him to fullback, he'd just as soon block as he would carry the ball, and he and Anthony Davis could make quite a tandem back there.
On paper, that is a dynamite combination, you have to admit. 3rd down, a little more than 10 needed for the 1st down. Buccaneers from their 9, they give it to Bell, and he broke past the line of scrimmage that time, but was nailed at the 12. Harvey Martin and Cliff Harris coming up to make the stop, and the Bucs will be punting from the goal line.
Well, David Green has been kicking the ball well, averaging over 43 yards per punt, but he's had enough opportunities. Great day. He had 11 in the first game with Philadelphia. You can wear out your knee in a hurry doing that.
That tells you one thing, that your offense isn't moving the ball much.
You got it.
All right, here's Green, standing back a couple of yards deep in the end zone. We got a whistle here and an official's timeout as they bring in a new ball. The inactive players today, the 2 players declared inactive by each side, Rayfield Wright and Glenn Carano by the Cowboys, and Jack Novak and Jeff Winans, who is normally a starting guard for Tampa Bay. Steve Wilson is filling in for him. Green gets it away in good order. Butch Johnson at his 45 to his 50. 45, cutting back inside, and he has reached the Tampa Bay 40. Oh, he is one slippery guy. CBS Sports Spectacular coming up next Saturday afternoon at 4:30 Eastern Time. Got a lot of interesting things happening, including the U.S. Grand Prix, the World Middleweight Full Contact Karate Championship, and that World's Strongest Man competition, which started yesterday, will continue. And the second event of this decathlon will be the steel bar bed. You're not entered in that, are you?
No, they scratched me early in that.
That's next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. Cowboys with excellent field position, a 1st down at the Tampa Bay 40 as they start this drive. That's Golden Richards in motion. Staubach hasn't thrown yet. Goes across the grain to Pearson at the 35, 30, 25, 20, and Pearson is down to the 18-yard line. A 22-yard pickup. Boy, I loved his comment a couple of weeks ago. He said, I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. I just don't get no respect.
Well, brother, he should get respect. That Preston Pearson is playing the best football of his life. I played with him years ago in Baltimore and went on to Pittsburgh after that. Well, you know his whole story. Watch Roger back there. What are the merits of that quarterback that can move? Look at the move right here. That's something out of Illinois where he was a basketball player. Preston Pearson. I'll tell you, he's going to be hard to move out of that slot.
Officials mark it at the Tampa Bay 19. It is 1st and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys. Staubach's got him in a split backfield. Hands off to Pearson. And Pearson to the 17-yard line for a pickup of 2. Dewey Selman, number 61 on the stop. Boy, I'll bet you Dewey and Leroy sold a few tickets for this ball game today. You know, they live in Eufaula, Oklahoma, which is right up the road here, just a expressway drive away from Texas Stadium.
Dewey has been quite a surprise for Tampa, though. They played him, of course, as down lineman last year, moved him to linebacker, and he just adapted to that position like he invented it.
That's what Preston has done. 2nd down 8. Cowboys at the 17-yard line. To the Buccaneers, Robert Newhouse inside the 15, and he is smacked hard. Leroy Selman, number 63. leaving his mark felt along with Dave Pear, number 76. It'll be third down for the Cowboys, and they will need just under 6 yards for the first down at the 15 of Tampa.
You mentioned Dave Pear. He is an excellent head-up man to play on that center. That's why that three-man line works so well for Tampa. Not taking a thing away from Leroy, of course.
Third down, 6. No score. Still in the first period. Preston Pearson in motion. Here's Staubach. Big rush by Selman. Overthrown, intended for Billy Joe Dupree, the tight end. And overthrown in the end zone. So the field goal unit comes on for the Dallas Cowboys. Staubach leads the NFC with a 61% completion rate. Ironically, 4 passers in the AFC have better completion rates than that right now. I don't know what that tells you, except the quarterbacking's so far been a lot better in the American Conference. Herrera will attempt a 32-yard field goal. Efren Herrera. Waters is the holder. It's up. It's good. So Dallas is first on the scoreboard this afternoon with 8 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the first period of play. It's the Cowboys 3 and the Buccaneers nothing.
Ford in your future is coming. The new Ford Fairmont. New car designed for today and the years ahead. Fairmont's mileage ratings are the same as a little VW Rabbit when both are equipped with automatic transmission. Yet Fairmont has 90% of the head, leg, and shoulder room of most large cars and fine all-around visibility. This kind of room is combined with the highest mileage rating in its class. Test drive Fairmont October 7th. Fairmont, the newest better idea from Ford.
Want to cut your fuel bills? Whether your house is new or old, put insulation everywhere. It can save you money. Your attic. You need a 6 to 12-inch blanket of pink Owens Corning fiberglass. Walls, full insulation. Unheated crawl space, insulate below the floor. Live where it's cold, insulate basement walls. See your Owens Corning fiberglass supplier to learn all about insulation. Insulation is cheaper than oil.
Herrera will be kicking off for the Cowboys with 8 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the first period of play here at Texas Stadium. Cowboys, the only undefeated team left in the NFC. Tony Davis is deep back there along with Isaac Higgins. They like Higgins. He's a number 3 wide receiver, but an excellent kick return guy.
Don't give him any daylight. No. He can move.
This will come down to Higgins at the 7. Back to the 15, 20. Nice cut back inside. He reaches the 27, maybe the 28-yard line. Aaron Kyle, number 25 for the Cowboys, in the bottom of that pile. With an assist that time from Jay Saldy, number 87, who's the captain of the Dallas specialty teams. Cowboys next 2 weeks get St. Louis and Washington. So that's kind of an early showdown situation. There's Tom Landry, the only head coach the Dallas Cowboys have ever had. Gary Huff, quarterbacking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got Owens to the right side and McKay to the left. Sends Davis in motion and pitches to Bell. Bell really popped at the 30-yard line, and the penalty marker went down at the same time. He was really wrapped hard by Thomas Henderson, number 56. And Bell is coming off the field.
We'll take a look at Ricky Bell right there. Ricky just doesn't have any daylight there. There's absolutely nowhere he can go, but you notice he's headed it upfield. He's got the right idea. He doesn't mind sticking it in there.
Jim Dubose has come in replacing him, and Bell went off holding. Looked like his left hand.
Gary Huff, drafted back. I guess this is his first start in pro football as a quarterback since 1975 when he was with the Bears.
Been a while. He was the second quarterback picked in the 1973 draft ahead of a couple of NFL starters, Joe Ferguson and Ron Jaworski. Let's get the penalty here.
Holding, number 28, offense.
So the holding goes against Anthony Davis, the lead back on the play. And the 10-yard walk-off moves the Bucs back to the 19-yard line, where it is now first down and 20.
40, red 99, 59,
Huff rolling to his right. Look out. Jethro Pugh's after him, so is Randy White. The pass is completed to Owens. Owens at the 40-yard line, out to the 44. And credit Huff with a great job of scrambling. He had guys breathing down his neck.
He surely did that. Nowhere to go. Jethro Pugh wouldn't allow him to roll any further that way. Good pass protection. That Tampa offensive line gave him plenty of time there. And look here. Jethro's not going to let him get outside. He puts it in there. Morris Owens he's got plenty of speed if he gets a step there. Not much room to go. Last year's leading receiver, I guess that's his 5th catch of the year.
Benny Barnes making the stop, and Tampa Bay with a first down at their 44-yard line. Dallas leading 3-0 as the sun breaks through the clouds here.
83.
Straight handoff goes to Dubose, and he really looked sharp as he broke across the middle, across the 50-yard line down to the 42, or rather the 48-yard line. Here's Ricky Bell having the left wrist attended to.
Don't want anything happen to an athlete like that. What a great future he's got down there.
Now the Buccaneers now going with Lewis Carter and Dubose and alternating Anthony Davis in and out of there. Davis is in there right now. And carries to the 46-yard line. He's been troublesome with the injuries, hamstring, shoulder injury, but one of the strange things happened to him last week. We got the report. Now let's see, we got an injured player for the Buccaneers. Time is called. The Bucs are going to have a second down. And looks like just inches needed for the first down.
Injuries are nothing new to the Tampa team. Last year, I think they had 17 players on injured reserve. What would their payroll be?
Oh, isn't that something? 17 players. Of course,
I think 9 starters. 9 starters were hurt for them last year. They had a better team than the record to indicate. Of course, since they didn't win any games, the record wouldn't indicate anything but that.
I think it's the tight end, Moore, who was shaken up. Dana Nafziger has come into the huddle. Timeout here called by the Bucs. We'll be back in Irving in just a moment.
Panasonic invites you to take a picture of a voice with a Panasonic cassette tape recorder.
Things was a lot different than it is now.
All with built-in mics. Some with built-in radios. There are pocket models.
It should last another 50 years.
And even some that record in stereo.
Say something. Come on, say something.
So take a picture of a voice with Panasonic.
Say something, bark.
Sit tight, Pop. I'll pump myself. Let me tell you something, gang. Any gas can get you where you want to go. You want to be in there cleaning your carburetor, too. Now, you want to make sure you're getting the job done, use new STP gas treatment. You just pump in a can with every tank load of gas, and it goes to work cleaning like a bandit. Clean that carburetor. Get a hold of this, and do it yourself. Keep the change, partner.
Tomorrow night is Elvis night as CBS invites you to see and hear Elvis in concert. Tomorrow at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Bob Moore, number 86, the tight end of the Buccaneers, is the injured player. He is actually a co-starter with Jack Novak, who is out with an injury, so they've got to rely now on a special teams guy, Dana Nafziger.
He's just a rookie, and you can't lose 2 veterans like that, particularly when they use those 2 alternating to call in the plays, running the plays for Tampa.
Third down as we head back to play, less than a yard for the first down for the Buccaneers at the Dallas 46-yard line. And Huff tries to do it himself, and I think he's got it at the 45. First down for the Buccaneers. 5 minutes, 55 seconds left to play in the opening period. What do we have in store for you next week on CBS? Another NFL doubleheader. Philadelphia and the Giants, Detroit at Minnesota. Those are some of the regional games that you'll be watching, depending on what part of the country you're in. Cowboys will be at St. Louis. That's one of the doubleheader games. Atlanta at San Francisco, and Washington will be at Tampa Bay, all on CBS next Sunday afternoon. First and 10, Buccaneers at the Dallas 45. Gary Huff to Owens at the 40, 35, and down to the 34. That's another first down. Morris Owens teaming up with Gary Huff. We were talking with Billy Nelson, offensive coordinator for the Bucs, down to the field prior to the game, and asked him if they were going to score today. And he almost guaranteed us they're going to put some points on the board. Of course, he said it might be the defense with an interception, but we're going to get some points.
Oh, they haven't had any luck at all. Of course, you can't lose 2 quarterbacks like Burrell and Huff for that much time without taking its effect on a young team, particularly an expansion team like that.
First and 10 for the Bucs at the Dallas 34-yard line. They've got a nice drive going. Started back at their 27. Flag down as the handoff goes to number 35, Jimmy Dubose.
Huge hole in that middle by that offensive line. Dan Ratchett there, the center. He's putting the block on Brunick and allows for it just enough. Give him room to maneuver there. He broke one tackle and almost ran over Cliff Harrison. That's a yeoman's job right there. It's not a bad offensive line. Not on paper anyhow. They've traded for some people. Jeff Lyons is not playing today. That'll hurt him some.
Here's the penalty.
Encroachment number 56. Defense decline. Second down, 2.
Thomas Henderson of the Cowboys called on the encroachment, but the gain was greater than the penalty would have netted them, so the Buccaneers will take that, and they'll wind up at the 26-yard line. We'll have some other scores for you here in just a moment. Second down, 2. Buccaneers at the Cowboy 26-yard line. Huff handing off to Dubose. Former Florida star crashes inside the 25 down to about the 23-yard line.
Jimmy was the number 2 draft choice for them there. They're high on all their backs. They think they've got about 5 or 6 runners that can play in the National Football League.
Buccaneers are sending in plays alternating the wide receivers. Isaac Hagan's right now and John McKay. So the Bucs moving the football right smartly. They're at the 23-yard line. That's a first down. Cowboy fans getting a little noisy now, trying to stir up their defense. Anthony Davis in motion to the left. It is Huff under pressure. Roll away. Henderson. He can fly at the 40. Henderson at the 50. He's going all the way, I believe. Thomas Henderson scores on an 80-yard interception return and spikes it between the goalposts.
Get out of town. Take a look at it again. Gary Huff. Can't find anybody open. Probably shouldn't have thrown the football, but there's a big play man. Tommy Henderson. Got speed to burn. Number 1 draft choice last year, surprisingly, out of a small school. I did a game here again 2 years ago when he was a rookie. Ran the opening kickoff back for a touchdown and did that same thing. Spiked it through. Hello, boy, Tommy. Get it right on.
Well, that's a new style spike, we have to say. 79 yards on the interception return by Thomas Henderson. That is his second NFL touchdown. He returned a kickoff for a touchdown a couple of years ago against the St. Louis Cardinals, and as Hawk said, did the same thing. Spiked it between the goalposts. Herrera with the extra point try. And Dallas suddenly leads 10-0 with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left to play in the opening period. Look at it again.
When life's grind gets to you.
Oh, Mustang.
Mustang.
Let a Mustang take you away.
Mustang, an exciting way to get from where you are to where you want to be with 4 on the floor and rack and pinion steering.
Mustang.
The 78 Ford Mustang 2 T-Roof convertible.
Go Mustang.
So beat the grind. Go Mustang. A better idea from Ford.
Homeward bound, coast of New England. The Navy. See your recruiter or call toll-free. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
There's our situation. There's the Giants-Atlanta situation. Atlanta leading in the second period, 7-0.
Now, that was Monroe Ely on a one-yard run for the Atlanta score, and they have been a surprisingly good team this year.
Played some good football. Beat the Rams, almost beat the Redskins. Anthony Davis circling under this one, takes it at the 12, 20, 25. And stopped near the 30-yard line on the far side. That's got to be a little heartbreaking for a young football team to move the ball as they did about 60 yards and then have it run back for 79 yards and a touchdown on them.
Been a series in Tampa like that. New England, they holding it together up there against the Jets, 17-14.
They got a 100-yard kickoff return out of rookie Raymond Claiborne in that New England-New York Jets game.
Well, you got to feel sorry for a Tampa team like that. They got buzzard's luck. They can't kill anything. They can't find anything dead. Just about time they get it started, something happens.
All right, 1st and 10 for the Buccaneers at their 31-yard line.
Man, go.
Quick pitch, Dubose. By the way, we got a report on Ricky Bell. Ricky has a bruised shoulder and may return this afternoon. We thought it was a hand or a wrist or something, but it's his shoulder. Bob Moore has a bruised knee, and indications are he will not be back. There's Bell trying to work the soreness out of that shoulder on the bench right now. Second down. Bucks need 8 for the first down. Bears have scored on New Orleans in the first period. Chicago 7 and New Orleans nothing.
Walter Payton did the damage on that one. What a year he's having.
Oh, he's some back. I saw him last week, even though St. Louis had him pretty well covered. You can see the greatness there. Here's Anthony Davis. Look at this. Hanging on for dear life as he came through the line of scrimmage was Cliff Harris, the Cowboys all-pro safety man.
Anthony Davis, a lot of football player. He can do a lot of things for you. Operated in Canada in the World Football League before joining Tampa. You give him a little daylight, he can still do it. But he can do so many things for you. He's not that bad a blocker either.
That's a first down for the Buccaneers. Pittsburgh and Cleveland in a battle at halftime. They're tied at 14.
Cleveland has been a surprisingly good team, haven't they?
From their 42-yard line, Davis takes the handoff, gets a yard. Jethro Pugh is the first to hit him, number 75. Just a yard on the play.
When the game first started, you just got the feeling that the Cowboys might be looking ahead to St. Louis, that they were a little flat today. But the big play by Henderson, and he will come up with a big play for you.
That is his big bag. He is not as consistent a football player as Tom Landry would like. But Landry says he has that knack of coming up with big plays. Now they're going to take a closer look at Bell's shoulder, apparently. Second down, 9. Buccaneers at their 42-yard line. You're talking about Anthony Davis. He had some other problems, but they said before the Minnesota game, he got up the night before the game and hit his head on the bathroom sink and was dizzy during the ball game. And I was going to say that you are one who could probably sympathize with that problem.
I've done that so many times.
The question is, was he standing or was he crawling?
I didn't bother to go.
First start, number 70, offense.
That call will go against Darryl Carlton, the offensive tackle of the Buccaneers. 5-yard penalty moves him back to the 38-yard line. It's now second down, 14. Morris Owens split way wide out to the right side, and McKay off to the left. Gary Huff on the delay, slips it to Davis, loses the ball. Buccaneers recover, but it'll be a loss of some 7 yards back to the 30-yard line. They've got 3rd and 22 right now. That left shoulder. Ricky Bell, number 1 draft choice in the National Football League. Man who's worked hard this year, led this club in receiving and rushing in preseason. And he is going to be an anchor in the years that lie ahead. As Hawk said, he's got just an excellent attitude about playing football. At Atlanta, Giant game is at halftime. This is still a first period score. New Orleans has tied Chicago.
Archie Manning ran one in from 8 yards out for that New Orleans score.
Huff, big rush by Randy White. Charlie Waters, number 41, with the deflection. And again, the Buccaneers will have to punt. Here's a man that was named in the poll of players here in the last couple of weeks as the most underrated player in the NFL.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised, but when he was on the corner, he wasn't an underrated player. That wasn't his position. When they moved him to safety, he just moved in like he owned the position.
Absolutely.
He and Cliff Harris are two, as a pair, they're as good as any in the National Football League.
Dave Green in to do the punting. Little over a minute left to play in the opening period. Cowboys leading 10-0 over the luckless Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa has had a weak area. It's in their coverage of punts. They've had a lot of punts run back against them. Although Green hits the ball pretty far, it doesn't hit it that high.
Beautiful punt. Johnson backs up to the 20, 25, 30. Wall is forming. 40, 50. Puts Johnson down to the 40. Still on his feet. Whoa! Finally goes down at the 33-yard line, and so do some penalty markers. Part of that will probably be called back, but what a return. He just wrestled off Dave Green at the 45. Look at it again and watch the wall form here.
And watch the wall form for the Dallas Cowboys. Excellent, and punt returns have been good all afternoon. You knew sooner or later they might be able to break one. Paul Harris coming over here, number 52, and I believe he grabbed the face mask there. Take a look at it again.
Watch Green try to tackle him here. I'll show you that kickers can't tackle.
They're not schooled to. They're working on their legs, not their arms. Here's David Green coming in the picture just right here. No, he wanted to get on and ride. Paul Harris finally gets and holds on hard.
Harris saves the touchdown. The penalty is against Tampa Bay for face mask, and that moves it to the 28-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 28. 49 seconds left in the opening period. Staubach to Pearson. 20. Pearson down to the 17-yard line. Nifty little move there as he dipped back inside and picked up close to 10 yards in the play. Mark Cotney, number 33, makes the stop.
The kind of a misdirection play here. The flow going to the right. Look at Preston and the moves. He's got more than a water bug, brother. He is not only a fine football player, but one of the finest individuals. Can you imagine the pressure he had all year listening to the drafting of Tony Dorsett and how he was going to be run off from his job, but not so?
Well, that's a sign of a great competitor. He certainly rose to the occasion, and he beat out Dorsett clean. 1st and 10 at the 17. Newhouse, 15, 10. Newhouse, 5. Touchdown. Newhouse using his left arm as kind of a windmill there to balance himself to keep from going out of bounds.
Bobby Newhouse, watch how he follows the lead block of Preston Pearson, number 26, and he stays outside there. Nice block there by Ralph Neely also. Tips it up just barely staying in bounds there. Oh, the roof's starting to cave in early for Tampa. They got to get something going.
16-0. Cowboys leading with the extra point to come. There are 5 seconds left on the clock in the opening period of play. Good. Herrera, 2 for 2 in the extra point department, plus 1 field goal. And we'll have time for the kickoff, and that will be it as far as the first period is concerned. Dallas zooming out to a 17-0 lead. And this Dallas club, of course, is so deep that when they decide to bring on the scrubs, all they have to put in is Tony Dorsett. You know. CBS Sports Spectacular coming up next Saturday afternoon at 4:30 Eastern Time. Once again, a rundown on some of the top events you're going to see. Highlights of the U.S. Grand Prix from Watkins Glen. That will be actually run this weekend. You'll see the highlights next Saturday. We'll have the World Middleweight Full Contact Karate Championship. Live from Indianapolis, and Superfoot Wallace will star in that one. The Superfoot
He's
himself.
the guy.
And then, of course, the World's Strongest Men competition, part 2 of that 10-part series, with the steel bar bend being the highlight event.
Well, so you got to feel like the Tampa, though, the defense has been as good as it has through preseason and the opening 2 games of this year. You'd think probably they wouldn't fold like that, but you got to know it's going to take its toll because the offense coming in, starting to drive, and then have to turn the ball back over to them again. It's going to hurt them emotionally more than anything else.
Hagen's deep along with Anthony Davis. Herrera to kick off. 5 seconds left in the quarter. High and short. Hagens at the 10, 20, 25, looking for running room to the 30. He can move. 40. Hagens caught by Benny Barnes at midfield. Excellent kickoff return of 40 yards as the gun sounds, ending the first period of play. So that's it. First period here at Texas Stadium in Irving. Cowboys leading Tampa Bay 17-0. We'll be back in a moment.
Should have bought Mobile One. The oil that saves you gas, you know.
Should have bought Mobile One. Helps you start at 35 below.
Should have bought Mobile One. Engine temperature hits 500. You're cool.
Should have bought Mobile One. You only change it every 15,000 miles.
Mobile One, the oil that does it all. Take it from an expert.
It's good, and it's halftime here at the stadium.
This fall, take a few minutes between halves and build up your lawn with some Scott's Turf Builder. Right now is the best time of year to get a thicker bluegrass lawn by growing more grass plants. Turf Builder will make any active lawn greener now and green up faster next spring.
We're all set for the kickoff now.
Just a few minutes this weekend. You'll see the difference now and next spring, too.
Take me away, lover. I'm yours.
I don't go with Mary Women.
What are you doing? You're not Granada.
Granada, this is my Mercedes. Holy tight, in hands to my Cadillac.
Cadillac, that's the Granada.
Alone at last, beloved.
Beloved?
Where's my bride?
You got that Mercedes with another man.
Another man?
The new Ford Granada. One way to tell it from Cadillac or Mercedes is its sticker price. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
Anthony Davis having a word with his head coach, John McKay, on the sidelines. Buccaneers 1st and 10 after that fine kickoff return by Higgins. They're at midfield. Just a simple straight handoff there. You get the impression, as Lewis Carter took the handoff, that on that last drive they were moving the ball so well, Hawk, that had they not had the interception, they'd have moved right in and scored.
And could have been an altogether different ball game because of something like that.
You look back on it, and that interception could be the turning point. 2nd down. Buccaneers need 8 for the 1st down. Ball is at the 47-yard line of Dallas. That's Danny White warming up on the sidelines. I don't know why he'd be warming up this early. Staubach's having some problems with that hamstring. Huff going long. He's got a man out there if he can reach it, but it's overthrown. Pass intended far in the end zone for number 89. That's McKay, and back there with him was Barnes. Minnesota leading the Packers in the 2nd period by a score of 13-7.
Fran Tarkenton has thrown for 1 touchdown pass in that game, and Chuck Foreman's run one in from 3 yards.
Our score, the Cowboys 17 and the Buccaneers nothing. Tampa Bay 3rd down and 8 from the Dallas 47-yard line. Bill Gregory has come into the Dallas defensive line. Replacing Larry Cole has replaced Pugh. Huff under pressure.
Hey.
Pretty good hit there by number 42, Randy Hughes, as the intended receiver was Higgins at the 45-yard line.
He held on to it.
He did hang on to it, but
Yes,
still
sir.
not enough for the 1st down. I thought he jarred him loose a bit, but Higgins managed to hang on. It'll be 4th down, and still almost 5 yards needed for the 1st down for the Buccaneers at the Dallas 43-yard line. Early in the 2nd period, Dave Green to do the punting.
Get down, Bucky, get down.
Angling for the coffin corner, Johnson signaling for the fair catch, but it bounces on into the end zone for the touchback, so the Cowboys will take the ball at their own 20-yard line. Timeout on the field here with 13 minutes and 25 seconds left to play in the 1st half. And right now, Dallas has things well under control, leading 17-0.
America, you've been changing.
Coming, going, changing, growing. The things that make up life.
Why is Bank AmeriCard becoming Visa? To keep up with you.
You're traveling, you're moving, you're taking more from life.
Today you need money that's good around the corner, all across America, and in 117 countries around the world. That's why Bank AmeriCard is becoming Visa, the most widely recognized card in the world. Visa, we're keeping up with you.
Badly needed oil lies deep beneath the oceans, much of it beyond man's reach, until now. With this unique drilling ship, the people of Phillips Petroleum can drill in waters more than a mile deep, the deepest water man has ever drilled in for oil. Probing deep beneath the sea to bring you fine products for your car. That's performance. From Phillips Petroleum, the performance company.
All right, the Cowboy cheerleaders going through their number.
Having a little something to cheer about today, too.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks so academic.
17 points here in the early going for Dallas. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys at their 20-yard line. After Green's punt into the end zone, Robert Newhouse. Out to the 26, pickup of 6 yards in the play. Dewey Selman making the stop. Dewey was moved out of the defensive line to a linebacker position and has performed very creditably. He was the 59th player picked in the draft last year, a 2nd-round choice. Baltimore, the Colts leading Buffalo. That is a 2nd period score. 7-0. 2nd down 4. Dallas at its 26-yard line. Again, Newhouse, this time shoved back to the 25. Leroy Selman, 63. Dave Pear, number 76, on the stop. Tampa Bay is the only NFL club which has not yet scored a touchdown this year. Their total offensive output, a couple of field goals, one in each game.
Frightening thing about that, they're only averaging 30 yards a game passing, and that is just unbelievably low. Less than 100 yards rushing per game. They just haven't had it going at all.
Third down, Cowboys need 3 for the first down. From their 27-yard line, Staubach to throw it. And he's had to throw very sparingly. Big rush, and almost threw that away. Let's see, is it rolled an interception or not? Yes, they did roll it an interception. Thought for a moment he might have trapped it, but he did pull it down.
And what's responsible for that is the pressure by Leroy Selman. He came on strong. You see him at the top left-hand corner of your screen, working on Ralph Neely. Beats him inside. Burton Lawless trying to pick him up, but no, sir. Leroy Selman, a good inside rush that time.
Well, now let's see what happened here. I think another official saw it from a different angle, and they did rule it a trap because, no, let's see. A Cowboy defense coming on. For a minute there, we had 2 defensive units out there.
Well, they did rule it. He did not catch it. I guess they're just going to punt.
That's right. It's going to be ruled a trap. So that sets up 4th down. So the Dallas punting unit is on now. Danny White. Nice kick. Isaac Higgins fields that one and goes out of bounds at the same time at the 27-yard line. So the Buccaneers will take over just inside their 30-yard line, trailing by a score of 17-0 with 11 minutes and 58 seconds left to play in the first half.
Your car will always need new parts, but you will never need to buy another battery. Once you own the J.C. Penney battery, it never needs water, ever. And it has more power to start your car than any other car battery. So dependable, it's fully warranted for as long as you own your car. If it ever fails, return it. We'll replace it, free. Only at J.C. Penney Auto Centers or catalog desks. It's the last battery your car will ever need.
You know why Zenith developed Color Sentry? Well, did you ever see my face and it looked too red? Other times it's all washed out? That's why.
Zenith Color Sentry. Think of it as a TV control room in your set. It controls the color picture, corrects the color picture automatically, 30 times a second.
And that makes a difference. After all, I don't play for the Cincinnati Pinks.
See the difference Color Sentry makes. Only from Zenith.
Sunday, Rhoda's mother, Nancy Walker, returns.
Ma, you are incredible.
I know.
Sunday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Here's an update for you on the Patriots and the Jets. Jets giving them quite a battle. New England has recaptured the lead.
New England's having to do it on the toe of John Smith, 2 field goals for those last 2 scores.
1st and 10 for the Buccaneers at their 28-yard line as they try to get that offense on track once again. Dubose tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Nothing for him. At there, as he crossed the line, he was hit by, looked like middle linebacker Bob Brunig. Came knifing through to take his feet out from under him. Give him a yard on the play. 2nd down, 9. Buck shuttling in a couple of players, just about every play, a wide receiver and also a running back. Their plan's been upset a little bit with Ricky Bell out of the game with that bruised shoulder, missing a good portion of the first period. 2nd down, 9 from the 29. Dubose in motion. Pitch to Davis. Davis trying to get outside. The Cowboys wouldn't let him. Cliff Harris, number 43, stopping him. No gain on that play. It'll be 3rd down, 9 for Dallas from the 29-yard line. Quite a battle up in Cleveland before better than 80,000, and the Steelers have regained the lead 21-14.
Terry Bradshaw just connected to Lynn Swan for a 14-yard scoring pass. That's his 2nd touchdown pass of the game. Excuse me, that's his 3rd. 2 to Swan and 1 to Frank Lewis, yeah.
3rd down for the Buccaneers. They need 9 for the first down. Gary Huff calls the signals for Tampa Bay. Davis to the 33-yard line, short of the first down.
What do you do when you're in Tampa's position? They work all week long developing a game plan, knowing what they can do best against Dallas and how to work it, and then you find yourself behind in the first period, 17-0. You got to scrap it and start all over.
Well, you work all week with Davis and Bell in the same backfield, and Bell goes out in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Green in to do the punting. He ranks 5th among the 28 punters in the NFL. Butch Johnson is deep, and Johnson's had an excellent day returning kicks, and he'll return this one at the 30-yard line. Johnson to the 35, and stopped at the 36. Started to go outside, changed his mind, and he should have gone. Forcing it very nicely was Dan Ryzik, the center, who was down there very quickly. So Dallas takes over at their 35-yard line, and Tony Dorsett has come into the ball game for the first time this afternoon for the Dallas Cowboys, replacing Preston Pearson at running back. Once again, the regional doubleheader next week on CBS. These are the games that you'll be watching, depending on what part of the country you happen to be in. These are a couple of the games. We'll give you a rundown of the rest of them in just a moment. Handoff, Dorsett. Good block from Lawless. Dorsett hit at the 40, fumbles, picked up by Tampa Bay, and racing down the sidelines is Richard Wood. And Wood goes into the end zone. No flag. And he spikes it between the posts. I did not see a flag. Or did I? I'll bring it back. Let's see.
Let's watch this again. Roger Staubach makes the handoff, as he said, blocked by Lawless there. Moving outside. Now watch Jarris White there. Puts the hammer on him good. Richard Wood picking it up and starting down. I couldn't tell.
Touchdown will hold. There was a clipping call against Dallas, and that is declined by Tampa Bay. So the Buccaneers have their first touchdown of the season as Richard Wood, a la Thomas Henderson, spikes it between the goalposts. So Dorsett fumbles on his first carry from scrimmage, and Wood picks it up and runs it in for the score.
I can't explain these late decisions on officials. They can't make up their mind what they're going to call the thing.
It's been one of those games. So it's a 17-6 game with the extra point try from Alan Levitt to come. Levitt has been with the Bucs just a couple of weeks. Came over from Atlanta where they had two good place kickers.
Had two good place kickers. He was number 4 draft choice. I hated to give him up, but Tampa outweighted him. They tried to trade him for 3 or 4 weeks. Tampa having first rights to anybody put on waivers. They just waited him out.
Levitt with the extra point is good, and so the Buccaneers have their first touchdown of the 1977 season. It is worth another look.
Watch it again. Tony Dorsett. He's learning to follow his blocking pretty good. Jarris White putting a good hit on there. Wood with the football. Look at the block with number 56 there. Cecil Johnson leveling it all. Now let's see the spike. 2 points. There we go.
So Tampa Bay has come back to score a touchdown and make things a little more interesting here in the second period, which is 9 minutes and 43 seconds left to play. We started to tell you about some of the games coming up next week on the NFL regional doubleheader. Philadelphia and the Giants, Detroit and Minnesota. Those are some of the early games, and these are some of the late games. Dallas, St. Louis, Atlanta, San Francisco, and Washington, Tampa Bay. Depending on where you happen to be, you'll be seeing both ends of the CBS regional doubleheader.
Well, so you got to know that the Tampa people happily finally get a touchdown on the board, even if the defense did have to make it for them.
Bill Nelson was right, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. We'll get on there somehow.
Well, a thing like that has a tendency at times to fire up the offense. It'll be interesting to see what Tampa Bay does next time they get the football. Levitt with the kickoff, coming short to Butch Johnson at the 10, 20. Johnson at the 25. He is the leading kickoff returner in the National Football Conference and is wrestled down at the 28-yard line. Mike Lemon in on the stop for the Buccaneers. 1st and 10 Dallas with the nose of the ball just short of the 30-yard line.
And being the smart quarterback Roger Staubach is, you know he's going to try to get a concentrated drive. He'll try extra hard before he gives any more impetus to that Tampa team.
He's only thrown 2 passes thus far in the ball game, 1 out of 2. But the reason for that is the Cowboys been running the ball well. Dorsett and Newhouse, the running backs, they come back with Dorsett. That's the same play that he fumbled on a moment ago. And this time he carries to the 34-yard line.
Tom Landry saying we're going to do it until we get it right.
That's right. Pick up a 4 on the play. It'll be 2nd down 6 for the Cowboys at their 34-yard line. Dorsett averaging 6.5 yards per carry, broke for his first 2 NFL touchdowns against the Giants last week.
Boy, he could be an added addition to this Dallas team because they've never had in the history of the franchise, they've never had a running back with as much ability as he's got to go outside and make the big play for you.
He has that super quickness. In fact, Cowboy scouts say he just broke the scale on quickness. Here's Staubach, 1 out of 2, rushed, flushed out of the pocket, still looking, gonna have to eat it. And down he goes at the 31-yard line.
Everybody covered downfield that time. Tampa secondary doing an excellent job staying with them in.
Again, Leroy Selman, number 63, was there. So was Dave Pear, number 76. And Council Rudolph, number 78. Good charge. That time by the front 3 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3rd down, 7. Dallas at its 32-yard line. Eagles, who trail most of that ball game, now leading the Lions in the 3rd period. From the shotgun. Jay Salty, the tight end in motion, comes back to help the blocking. Staubach over the middle for Billy Joe Dupree. That's a 1st down at the 48-yard line as Dupree cradled it just inches above the ground. Cowboys had 2 tight ends in there that time, Salty and Dupree.
Look at the coverage here. Look at the protection Roger got there. And Billy Joe Dupree just finds the open areas. He's about as good a tight end as there is in football, in addition to being an excellent receiver and a smart receiver. You saw that little tiny seam being broken down right there. He's a heck of a blocker for the running game.
Dupree needs just 10 more pass receptions to pass Pettis Norman and become the top-ranking tight end in Dallas Cowboy history. Of course, when they had Pettis, they didn't throw that much to the tight end either. 1st and 10, Cowboys at their 48-yard line. On the delay, Dorsett, 50, down to the 45-yard line. Pickup of 7. It'll be 2nd down 3 for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 45.
Look at the smooth gliding motion, almost effortless running style, Tony Dorsett. Ricky Bell on a similar movement, but he just hasn't had the daylight Dorsett's had. He will have in the years to come.
2nd and 3 with the nose of the ball just outside the 45-yard line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Atlanta shutting out the Giants in the 3rd quarter, 10-0. Be 2 out of 3 for the young Falcons. Newhouse and Dorsett behind Staubach in the I formation. Dorsett taking the pitch, cutting back to the 40, down to the 37. That's a 1st down. This Dallas drive started at the 30-yard line, the first sign really of a concentrated drive they've had.
Look at the precision blocking here on that left side. Neely and Lawless out in front there. Dorsett, just a little crack in the acceleration there. Oh, that's a good football team. Dallas with a relatively young offensive line, but they've really come together this year, haven't they?
CBS Sports Spectacular, Saturday afternoon at 4:30. Don't forget all those great events for you. The Grand Prix, the Karate Championship, and the World's Strongest Men competition. Newhouse taking the pitch this time from Staubach. Doesn't quite have the speed of Tony D turning that corner, but he gets the job done in his own way. Picked up a couple down to the 35, inside the 35 to almost the 34-yard line.
Newhouse kind of been, in many ways, been a disappointment to the Dallas team. What was he, the number 2 draft choice several years ago?
Correct.
Had a big year in '75 where he gained a little over 900 yards, but basically he's had injuries and things like that. I maintain he's an unlucky ball carrier, too. You've seen pitchers that can pitch 3 hitters and lose 1-0 and all that throughout their entire career. He really doesn't get the blocking.
His best year was the year the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl, played against the Steelers. Staubach with a nice fake to Dorsett, looking long over the middle, and Drew Pearson makes the catch at the 20-yard line. 1st down. There's the man who is an all-pro wide receiver. They call him the dance master because he's got such great moves.
On the offense, brother, he'll make the big play for you, as he's done for several years here, about 6 years for the Cowboys. Roger Staubach, plenty of time, not pressured at all. Roger's got great vision down in that field. Throw that ball low a lot of times, like the pass Dupree caught a little earlier. He keeps it low and inside.
Cedric Brown making the stop, but the Cowboys have another 1st down just inside the Tampa Bay 20-yard line. Staubach calls the signal, sends Pearson in motion across the backfield. Roger hands to Dorsett, 15, 10, and down to the 8-yard line goes Tony Dorsett. 11, perhaps 12 yards of the play. Another 1st down for the Cowboys. Dorsett lost his helmet in the process.
The acceleration, he smelled the goal line that time. He wanted it bad. Brother, he can take off. A world of ability. Slow starting in training camp, bothered by some injuries, I guess, but he's starting to come on the last couple weeks.
He missed about 3 weeks because of that leg injury. He had a strained knee in camp. Herb Scott of the Cowboys, one of their starting guards, is out of the game with a hamstring pull, and Burton Lawless has been in there, number 66, as you may have noticed. First and goal to go from the 9-yard line for Dallas. Newhouse fighting his way down to the 7, to the 6, to the 5, crawling to the 4. Not a second effort on that one.